I'm planning on building a gravel bike for bikepacking in New Zealand. I found a old steel framed Robin Hood bike on Facebook Marketplace for 20 bucks. He was going to get rid of it if I didn't buy it that day because he'd had no interest on it. It had been recently restored kind of in the last 10 years, but it's been repainted 3 times and it's a cool bike, but it's not worth keeping. And it's not worth restoring again. So my plan is to use the frame and keep the headset probably, but other than that, I'm going to strip the whole bike down and build myself a gravel bike for bikepacking. I already stripped some of the bike down yesterday without filming. The plan is that we're going to repaint it. I'm going to paint it army green. I'm going to get a donor bike. I'm going to try and find one for around 100 bucks and have some modern components. Not too modern, but within the last 10 years, not the last 40 years, you know. Modern hoods, modern stem, modern bars, modern shifters, 105, maybe Shimano 105, but I don't think I'll be able to find one. So even Tiagra's, Shimano Tiagra will work fine. Hopefully I can find a 1x10 drivetrain. I mean, I'll happily do a 2x11 or something. It's a big deal. I like the idea of the 1x10 for the gravel side of it and off-roading. And hopefully I can chuck all my bikepacking stuff on there and reuse this frame in 2026. So the wheels on this guy are 28 630s, which means they're 27 inch, so they're not the new modern 700C sized wheel. It's also a 6-speed, which is not useful. And the tyres are all cracked and they've seen better days anyway, although this one's still got air in it. The only reason I use these wheels is to test what size tyres I can fit on the frame, between the forks, etc. So this is a 1 1/4 inch wide tyre on a 27 inch rim, which is actually a wider rim profile than the 700C. So I'm just going to measure up to see what kind of tyre we can fit through these forks, because I'm going to change them to 700C rims anyway. So yeah, 1 1/4. So even right at the very top of the fork, I should be able to fit a 40 tyre, so 700 by 40, which is ideal because that's what I want for a gravel tyre. The only problem is that the 700C wheels sit wider at the hub, but I'll cold set the frame and the forks so that the 700cc wheels actually fit. The only other thing to test is the brake caliper. However, these old Shimano brake calipers are actually wider than the forks. So we should have no problem getting a 40 through there. So, and the grip. The grip will 100% fit as well. I actually had this caliper on my mountain bike just to test to see if it would go over the tyre, and it goes over the mountain bike wheels. So first of all, for this frame, I'm gonna take the stem, handlebars, forks, headset, take all the front end off really. It's a quill stem, so I will need a quill stem adapter when I build the bike. It's just a 13mm bolt. And what that bolt does, there's a wedge nut in the bottom, so when you tighten the bolt it pulls the nut, so then the nut goes wider to block it into the stem. So it's a very long bolt. These things are normally quite seized, so probably helps if I undo this first. The headset nut. And the stem actually goes in just here. They do get quite stuck, so you can squirt heaps of WD-40 down there or just give it some brute force in it. Should come out. Try it this way around. There you go. So that's the fork and the stem has come off. The fork will just slide out. I don't know. Just another nut here. Luckily it's hand tight. That's part of the headset. Fork comes out. And I'll keep that. I'll do just have a little tub here to keep the headset together. Bottom, top. Oh, where's the other nut gone? Show you how a coil stem works. So as you tighten the nut, it slides this nut backwards, which makes the stem wider, so it pinches inside the fork tube. I'm going to be a bit naughty here and just hammer those out, I think. It's very rounded off. I'm not actually too sure what these pieces of plastic are for. Does anyone know? Yeah, I'll keep it, just in case. Super rounded off again. I might have to break this one. So there we have our stripped Robin Hood road frame. I do have a crank tool. It's on its way in the mail because I broke mine. So I'm just going to start sanding and prepping the frame around the crank, and then when that tool comes I'll take the crank off and finish it. So the badge is vinyl, it's not the original badge, which means we might have to go badgeless. But that's alright, it's got to come off to be painted anyway, unless I can re-sticky that somehow, but I don't think I'll be able to. Could glue it on, I guess. Maybe I'll keep it just in case, but basically left no residue. All right. The reason I'm not keeping this is because it's been done, it's not original, and it's all peeling off anyway, so. I really need to get a bike stand. So I'm just using 60 grit sandpaper to take the rust spots back down to bare metal. And then I'll use higher grit to just scuff up all the rest of the paint so the primer sticks. I want to take the rust down to the bare metal because there's some spots like just here where it's pitted, and you want to take that pittedness back to flat, and if you don't get it all back to bare metal, and it's just going to come straight back through underneath the paint once it's painted. So you'll find as well, you see a tiny spot of rust, and then once you start sanding there, you'll just open it up and just keep following the rust, and before you know it, you end up like this. Jumping in with the higher grit now. I've only got 2 sandpapers, so I'm having to use 320. just to scuff the paint so the primer will stick. Cleaning it with isopropyl alcohol, just to stop flash rusting on the bits that have gone to bare metal. This will just keep it from flash rusting until I finish the rest of it and primer it. So as I was sanding around the dropouts just now, I've realised that one of the dropouts is quite bent. It's not a catastrophic thing, it's not too bad. I've got to cold set the frame anyway, so I can fix that when I'm cold setting. I have to cold set the frame wider so I can fit the modern 700cc wheels. So it's not a major. I've pretty much done as much as I can with the things that I have now. I've got a crank puller on the way in the post, so I'm just waiting for that to come. And then, yeah, I'll get the crank off, finish the prep, and paint in the next episode, hopefully. I made a design call too while I was finishing up. I was just looking at the forks. The chrome on the forks is not pitted, and it's pretty clean, and I kind of like the chrome look on the forks for the vintage kind of feel. So I'm gonna leave the forks chrome. However, I'm gonna paint all the components, front rack, headset, locking nut, stem's gonna be black, bars are gonna be black, everything's gonna be black apart from the chrome forks. So yeah, I'm gonna add that to the plan and we'll see what it looks like on paper. But yeah, I think it'll look pretty good. I wanna go for that vintage, brown leather kind of look. So it seems like a shame to paint over, not perfect chrome, but good chrome, Anyway,